Hey guys, welcome back to episode number 3 of the Placeable series here by Lazy Modding. Apologies for the long delay between videos. I just had a absolute swamped week and just did not have a whole lot of time to sit down and make the videos. If you've been watching these videos, you know that it's been fairly time consuming. So, been trying to, make sure that I get everything else done at the same time. So, anyway, we're going to get into it today. I'm going to be mainly looking at doing bolts on our pillars along with maybe doing some guiders between. We'll see how far we get. So I'm going to try not to make this a incredibly long video. I don't have a ton of time to sit down and edit a long video at the moment, nor do I have the time to record one. I'm hoping that this weekend I'll have time to where we can actually feel like we're making some progress anyway. I don't feel like we're making progress, but then again, I am used to just kind of flying through these kind of projects and getting them done in a day or two. So, that being said, we'll go ahead and get started here. So kind of the first thing we're going to do is add in our bolts. I am not going to show adding bolts to everything. I don't see a point in doing that for anyone. It's just the repetitiveness. My gosh, of doing that. Like, how many pillars we got? 5. So like, I'll do like half one, and then the others I'll just mirror off camera. So I just, like I said, I don't see a point in wasting anyone's time doing that stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this pillar here. Can't remember. I think I assigned colors. I did. Okay. Just click on this pillar here, and I'm just going to tab into edit mode. I'm going to go up here to select face mode. I also think you can hit 3 on the keyboard and it'll also switch. And I'm going to select that face. I'm going to shift S2. Apologies if I get some of these shortcuts wrong. I've been working on my MacBook a lot lately, and the shortcuts are just a little bit different. So if I say command or something weirdly, that would be the reason why. But most of the time I try to catch it before I say it. So anyway, so we're going to do that there. And then what I'm going to do is go to, we'll make it out of it. We'll go to add mesh cylinder. So once you add that cylinder in, it's going to be like a 32 vertice type cylinder. We don't really need anything that big. And in fact, bolts are 6 sides. So we're just going to type 6 in on our faces here. It's going to do that. Radius wise, I generally try to go with like 1/2 inch on this stuff, but a lot of it also varies on depending on like what it is. So like for this instance, like, 0.75 inch. I highly recommend just messing with things and seeing how they look. So if we go 1 inch, 1 inch looks good. And then we're thinking about the bolt itself that will be, or the nut technically, that's kind of above the frame. So like 1 inch should likely do the trick on that. So then what I'm going to do is, now that that's done, I'm going to go to our z-axis here. I'm going to hit plus 0.5 IN. Now make sure to add the IN in there, because if you do 0.5 without the IN, it will move it up 1/2 foot. If you put the IN in, it will add 1/2 inch to the foot dimensions. And then once it does that, it will move it up on, basically went on to kind of on top of the surface here. So we don't have to do any booleans or anything like that yet. And what I'm going to do is just kind of go here, and I'm going to hit, actually, how do we want to do this? We'll do it this way. We'll add a array modifier, and we're going to want to have 3, and we're going to go on a 3 ratio in the y direction. Actually, we'll make that 4. Yeah, I like 3. I will make that 5 just for the heck of it. I think it'll look a little bit better. So I'm going to do all that, and then I'm going to go and hit Alt-Z, and it's going to make us into like an X-ray mode. I'm just going to select all of the sides of this middle bolt here, go Shift S2, and I'm going to right click and hit Set Origin to 3D Cursor. What that's going to do is it's going to put that cursor right in the middle of that one, and then I'm going to go back to the beam, hit Control Alt 2, or Control Shift 2, or what did I actually push? Now I'm curious. I just do it randomly, so it's like hard for me to like keep up. So I'm going to get out of X-ray mode. Okay, Shift S2. Man, I am struggling today. So now that we have that in place, I'm going to right click on this and I'm going to hit snap to cursor. And we're once again going to just go back in here and go 0.5. Sometimes I mess things up like that. It's not that big of a deal to fix things of that nature. So that is kind of what we do. And then I'm going to go here and set origin to back down to the cursor there. That way sits on the bottom side of that bolt face. So then I'm going to select the bolts, and I'm just going to go up here and name them bolts. And then I'm going to go to materials, add a new one, mat_bolts. I always put mat in front of it. I don't really know why. I just do. Mainly because like I don't really have a reason. I just do it. I don't really have a reason. You don't have to put mat in front of it. It just tells me that I think it's mainly for like when I do like maps and stuff, and then it's like I know, this is going to be material diffuse for this texture or something like that. I don't really know. We'll see. So also, if I am like changing how I'm sounding, for some reason I can hear myself and I don't really know how, because everything's off from OBS side. So I can just like hear random pops whenever I talk. So if I try to like avoid that, that is why. So it's me talking. I can hear myself, but I don't know where it's coming from. It's very annoying because I don't like hearing myself. At least not in this sense. So I can't stand watching my own YouTube videos. It annoys the crap out of me. So anyway, so that is done. Those are done. I'm gonna hit Control D. I think that duplicated it. That did not. Shift D. Okay. And then we're gonna go up here and just tab into this face. Ooh, that is weird. It's like no face there. Okay, that will be something I will help fix. I'll fix that later and post the splint file. Don't really know what happened there. So I'm going to go down here and select these bolts. So I'm going to hit snap to cursor. It's going to move these bolts up to here. And then I am going to rotate them 90 degrees on the x-axis. Voila, magic. And then I'm going to hit Shift D again to duplicate it. Then we're going to go negative, or no, leave the 90 on that, and then we'll go 90 on this. Okay, yeah. So that needs to go to 180. And what we're going to do is just try, since there's not an actual face there, and it's also a pain in the butt to see, we are just going to have to try to kind of guesstimate where it would be here. Yeah, so about an inch. Okay, that works. Oof, I only selected that one face. Control C. I did hit A there to select all the faces. We're just gonna go here, and then that looks good. Okay, and then we'll go back to this mode. And once I get, actually I can stick a face in there right now. I don't really know what happened there. Just weird. We'll fix that on the other ones. Like I said, I'm not going to show all these, so I'll try to hop through it and do that. So we got those bolts in now. This thing up is going to be up there to the top, so I'm going to hit Shift D again just to create a duplicate of those. Go up here, tab into this, switch to face mode, Shift S2. Now, I'm sure other people have different ways of doing their bolts, and I'm not here to say one way is better or another. So I'm just here to kind of advertise my way. Feel free to put as many bolts as you want in these arrays. If you are wanting to, add more up here, it's pretty easy. Generally what I would do is I just line myself up here and tab into edit mode and hit your Alt Z. That way so it brings up everything. Highlight the faces you want, and then you can just bring them down. And that looks pretty close. I'm going to do the same thing on the top here to go to about 0.84. And boom, we added extra bolts to that up there. So yeah, like I said, just feel free to add as many bolts as you kind of want on those. There's not really like a set number. Like I said, a lot of people have other ways they do things. So anyway, I'm going to get the rest of them done. That is basically how to set the bolts up. So I'm going to do the rest of these off camera that way so it doesn't take forever. So we'll be right back. Actually, before I go and, not do any of this, I figured I'd show you guys kind of how I do flip stuff. So it's just basically just a bunch of mirrors, honestly, is what I do. So what I do is I find a center point of whatever I want to array up or flip on. So I went and found like the middle kind of edge of this truss here. And I'm just going to go in here and select all of our bolts here. Select those. Go here and select both of those. I'm going to come down here and select those. And then I'm just going to go Control J to make it all one mesh. I'm going to hit Control A, rotation and scale. That way so that whenever we mirror it, nothing really goes weird because rotation and scale will be set to the constants. I'm going to right click and we're going to go set origin to 3D cursor. It's going to snap the origin to that point. And then I'm going to go to our modifiers and I'm going to go to mirror. And as you can see, it already mirrored there across what would be the y-axis, down there all the way to the bottom. And then if you want to mirror across the x-axis, which I don't know why those are flip-flopped, but they are, you can do that as well. And then boom, you have all the bolts done on one thing, and then you can just kind of, you can either array them down or you can just kind of duplicate and snap as you kind of go. So I'll let that decision be up to you guys. But anyway, that is kind of how I do that. So I will be right back. Okay, so I got all those bolts done. I just went along and kind of duplicated them and snapped them into place. So all that is done. So I guess now we will go on doing some of the framing-ish along the edges here. The terms are different in Red Iron. I know that. Just don't know what the terms are. I've done Red Iron a couple times, but not where I can know the terms like better. So I'm just going to select that face and select that face. Control S that to put the cursor in the middle. And go to Mesh Cube. I think this is how I want to do this. And then we're going to go here to our x-axis and make it relatively 0.25 feet. I think that's pretty good. And then we'll make it like a foot that way, and then like 6 inches this way. Then what we're going to do is get it to line up here with the edge. And then we'll have that there. And then what we're going to end up having to do is been working more of a CAD-based model here lately for a couple things. So trying to get back used to Blender and how it works is kind of tricky. So we'll go mesh. We'll make this 3 inches. Go 0.5 thick. And make it. I know that's supposed to fit in there more. Pretty sure. And I got enough knowledge that I feel like that should be right, but it doesn't really look to be right. Anyway, we'll have interior walls anyway, but I honestly am not the biggest fan of doing red iron buildings in FS just because of this issue here. I just don't. Everyone gets mad if it's not built perfect, and it's like I just don't have the knowledge in myself to make sure everything is perfect. So I try, but unfortunately not. Doesn't happen very often. So I'm gonna actually, I just hit extrude on that, but I don't want that to extrude. We're just gonna take this face out. Go to about there. And then we're gonna move this back about 1/4 inch. So it's right on that edge there. And that looks fairly decent. And then just gonna go in here and just like bevel these corners just like with 3 faces, just enough to give them kind of a round look, but not increasing the poly count. Actually, we need to Control Alt A and set scale first. Then we'll just kind of go in. Do that just a little bit there. I'm not going to worry about making it hollow. I feel like that's okay. So now that's done there. And then what I'm going to do now is just kind of go here and switch back to face mode and there, and just move that there. And then I'm going to go to mesh, add cylinder. And then I'm going to take this down to 1/4 inch on the radius. Then we'll rotate it on the z-axis by 90 degrees, or the x-axis by 90 degrees. Then we'll slide that down there, duplicate it, and slide it down there. We'll join those two. Not that. There we go. And then we will move it out just a wee bit here. Okay. And then what we're going to do is go there, set origin to there, and go here. Whoa, there. Do that. Take that, duplicate it, and then I'm going to snap the origin to there, and then rotate that, and then we're going to rotate it on the 90, -90, and there we go. So, like I said, I doubt it is proper, but it will work for what we needed to work it on. So if you have issues with it, then you don't have to watch it, guys. I don't know what to tell you. So just gonna wrap those corners off. It doesn't add a ton of poly, and I think it's worth it. If you want to get complex enough, you can bake that curve in if you want, but generally buildings don't have that high of a poly compared to everything else, so I generally don't worry about it a ton. Giants also does have resources that are in their file system that has like normal and spec and diffuse for like bolt textures. So if you want to use like just like a plane instead of actually making a bolt head, that's also possible. I've done it a couple times, mainly on things I've sent to ModHub, but they don't look quite the same as like actually having bolts out here. So that's kind of why I do what I do there. Then I'm just gonna go here and Control Alt S that to the center there. That was then their cursor's already there. And we're just gonna go here and do a little Boolean action here just to try to get as less faces as possible. Boolean, we're gonna go union, and we're gonna select those, make sure they are selected and they do appear to be. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and delete the extra bolts. So what that really does is it just gets rid of the face on the backside of the bolt. So it's like everything's kind of, meshed up the right way. So it took me a long time to learn that the union tool and the Boolean does a lot better job at combining things than Control J or joining things do, because Control J will leave faces behind. The only time I use Control J is whenever the object's not touching. So like combining the bolts together, that was okay, but combining the bolts on the bracket, that's where I can use that Boolean union at. So what I'm going to do now is right click and set origin to the cursor. Make sure, once again, rotation and scales are all set. And I'm just going to mirror it across and boom, there we go, like magic. And now before I start like fully building everything, what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate the brackets themselves, and then I'm going to duplicate this bar, because what you don't want to get yourself into is you fly through it and you get all the sidewalls done, but then you don't have any resources, where it's a lot easier on you to be able to build like the end walls for the building. So I generally always try to have like if I'm doing a wood frame building, I'll have like just a giant like quote unquote resource area that's just off the edge of my blender scene that has 2x8s, 2x6s, 2x4s, all that stuff over there. That way, so that I'm not having to constantly create it and everything, especially if you're using UV textured maps. That like I have a wood pack that I created that is my default. It's textured and everything already. What I do is I just go and import that way, so then I know that I already have maps for all that. So, and I'll get into that once like we work our way through this video. I might make like some more of like how to set up, make things a little bit more efficient or something of that matter. Clearly, with how long this project's taking, is not the most efficient. So, but the main reason for that is to make sure that I am trying to beginnerize these videos as much as I possibly can, which is harder because I don't really learn well from videos. Like I literally have to do it myself to learn it. So, hopefully the videos are decent enough quality that it helps out a little bit. So I try to include all the resources that I'm doing in everything, that so you guys can try to follow along a little bit. So anyway, so now that we have that done, what I want to do is make this all just one piece. So we have these two pieces here. So I'm just going to select this one here. Once again, make sure your rotation and scale are set. I'm going to go modifier, Boolean, union, and we're just going to select those cubes. I don't actually know. Honestly, that back face on those brackets should be like right on the edge. But it just works out better this way anyway. And then, so now that that's done, probably should have done this earlier on, honestly. It would have been a lot easier. We're just going to delete that extra bracket set there. I figured it was going to do that. Okay, so little tip of advice here. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to UV scale this out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here and find kind of what all our bolt heads are. So a lot of times they'll be right around each other, or you can get an idea of what is what. So like, I already know anything that has the hexagon heads are going to be a bolt head. So I'm just going to go and select all those, and there's 2 more there. So if you think about it, you should have 8 faces or 8 bolt heads, because there's 4 on each. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. And then, now actually, I'm once again not doing this the most amazingly. So then make sure to try to turn on your UV sync section up here. What it'll do is it'll allow you to, if you click a face on here, it'll highlight the face over here. So like, click there, click there. Those then, you're like, okay, well then these rectangle faces here are bolt heads, or sides of bolts anyway. And then you're just able to kind of work through stuff a little bit quicker. So all those are selected. We'll go there and grab those. Grab all that. And I'm just kind of going through it relatively fast because I am fairly confident that most of those that are the same size are like that. And then what you can do is, if you have that UV sync section on, you can just kind of take a look at your mesh and make sure there's not like any weirdly lit up parts or anything, which I don't see any. So, but like for instance, if I were to accidentally select one of the faces, the face would light up. I'm like, okay, well that's not part of the bolt face, so then I can just click off of it. So, and what that'll allow you to do is kind of the same thing as you can whenever you go to vertex paint. It's kind of what I do here. So I'm going to go to materials, and we're just going to go add a material, and I'm going to hit the slot or the drop down here and material bolts. I'm just going to hit assign. So it's going to assign it to those faces. And then to get the red iron color, I'm going to go to select, and we're just going to go invert, or you can do Control I, whatever works better for you. And I'm also going to go here to add material slot, or I can go matte _ red iron. I'm going to hit assign as well. So I'm going to go back to our layout view. The beam itself is now our red iron color, and the bolts are our bolt color, and it's all in one mesh. So we don't have to, worry about having to like, oh, I got to go split up meshes, etc., stuff like that. So I'm going to move that down relatively close to the pad there. I'm just going to duplicate it, and we're going to move it up about 4-ish feet. And then we'll go up about 8. I try to, at least the couple buildings I did were like commodity based. So we were pretty beefy towards the bottom, and I just kind of have carried that over to anytime I do red iron buildings. So I'm sure there's someone that will be like, oh, that's wrong. That's how you're supposed to do it or something. Well, I apologize, I guess. So anyway, so there is those up. And then that'll just give us basically one side. And then what you can do is you can just kind of go here and you can duplicate or select all that without, selecting the pad and all that stuff. So we have all those faces or all those selected. I'm going to go Control J to join all those. Ooh, it does not like that. We'll try this. Control J. Okay, now it works. So once again, I'm just going to go in and hit scale to rotation, etc. So, and then what I'm going to kind of do here to try to make this a little faster, I'm going to select the middle of this face here. I'm going to go Shift S2. It's going to put the cursor right on that face. I'm going to right click on these and set origin to 3D cursor. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mirror it across the way here. Not necessarily down, but just straight across. So that's going to do that for us. And then now to try to make this a little faster on ourselves, I'm going to go here to array, and we're going to go count of negative, or we're going to need 3 sets. So I'll increase that 3, and we're going to go in the -1 direction here. I guess we'll need to count 4 actually. But one thing you might notice is if you use the relative offset, it uses the size relative to the object you're arraying, not like a constant distance. So then you're kind of seeing the issue here is because these aren't exactly the same width as the beams, we're running into that issue of it not being like reach. So what I'm going to do is you can use the tickers here to try to get it right. I found it gets kind of tricky. I generally just use like 1, 2, 3, etc., something like that. So, but I'm going to just untick that and we're going to go to constant offset and then menu down. And I can't remember what I set these trusses to be on here, but we're just going to kind of space it out here and then we'll try to get relatively, looks like maybe 19.5 is our sweet spot. That looks pretty good. That's 19.33. Nope, not quite there either. 19.45. That's on the money. So that is kind of how I recommend doing that. That's kind of the same approach I would take to the bolts if I didn't array those, but I could have done the same thing I did with the bolts on these, but I figured I'd just kind of demonstrate this process here. So anyway, that is about all the time I have time for today between recording and editing this. Please do feel free to drop questions in the comments. I will try to respond to the ones as fast as I can. Or also, if you guys have questions, please don't hesitate to head over to the Discord and ask. Generally, I have Discord pulled up somewhere enough that I can like see kind of what's happening. Of course, I can respond from my phone as well. So anyway, I hope this video kind of helped you guys out. I will try to get the next part out possibly before the weekend. We'll see. But that one you can expect we'll start working on the end walls on. So once again, I hope this kind of helped you guys out. If you enjoyed the video, please do hit the like and subscribe button. I don't get to say that enough during the video. So if you stick to this late in the video and you do that, I greatly appreciate it. So till next time, guys, stay safe and we'll see you again.